Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to Watchcastage. Over the last year or so, I have been very curious about the hullabaloo surrounding the Casioak. So I have a few different versions, and I have been wearing them over the last couple of weeks to see what it's all about, and I am just here to share my experiences with them. The three that I have are the GA2110 HUF, the GA2110 ET, and the 2110 SU, which is a Japanese domestic model. The measurements on all of them are pretty much identical, with a diameter of 45.2-ish millimeters, a thickness of around 11.5 millimeters, and a lug-to-lug of around 48.5 millimeters if you use the actual lugs. But the resin strap does protrude, and if you include that, it goes up to about 54.5 millimeters. Or on the HUF version, it extends to about 58.4 millimeters. And here are a couple of wrist shots on my 6.5 or about 16.5 centimeter wrist. This is the green version, and I am wearing it a little bit tight just to show you how that looks. Here is the gray version, which is the 2110 ET. I thought I was going to love this one, but I'm not too keen on the coloring here. It's just a bit too drab for me. And finally, here is the HUF version, and as you can see, that fabric strap adapter really does make it extend a bit further. And as far as the strap choice here, I'm not too keen because it is a bit long, and it's too thick to really get a good purchase on it to wrap it back around like you would a standard NATO, so I'm kind of confused about the strap choice here, but there you go, that's the HUF version. Now I'm going to tell you what I ended up really liking about these watches while I was wearing them, and the first thing is the functionality. Not only do we get the analog time, which I am a big fan of, but on the left-hand side of the dial, we get the day of the week. In the lower screen, we end up with the date as well as the seconds. On the second screen, we have a world timer in case you want to track a second time zone. Jumping to the next screen, we have a stopwatch or a chronograph, we have a countdown timer, and then we have 5 alarms, which is just outstanding. Also, as far as G-Shocks go, this is relatively thin, which makes it a bit more comfortable. It also is very lightweight, so you forget that it's on your wrist. It is a G-Shock, so it is also incredibly durable. You do not have to baby this thing. It doesn't have any audible ticking, and being that I have worn Timexes and Swatches recently, that is big for me because those things are deafeningly loud. It is also not a flashy watch, so it doesn't draw too much attention to you if that is something that you're concerned with. If you're in an area that has a lot of watch crime, anything like that, this isn't really going to get you too much attention. And as far as the build quality, I like that on the Japanese domestic market one, it has a metal tengen buckle as opposed to a plastic. It just gives it a bit more of that feeling of longevity. Then when it comes to what I didn't like about these watches, I didn't find any of them to be the most legible because the contrast wasn't as high as I personally like. If you don't mind that, then it's going to be fine for you, but if you want to be able to look down and very easily see the time, I found it kind of difficult with these watches. Also, as you can see right now, sometimes the hands end up covering the screen, which makes the screen useless, and on the note of the screen, some of these are just complete garbage, like the negative display. I do not like them. The HUF version has terrible viewing angles, and I do think that the regular display is probably the best in terms of readability. Also, I found the light on this thing to be pretty useless. It does light up the screen, which makes that legible, but as far as reading the hands, it is very difficult with that light just in the lower right-hand side of the dial. And finally, just like any G-Shock with a resin strap, the resin doesn't breathe that well, so your wrist ends up getting a bit sweaty. So what is my conclusion here? I guess this goes for pretty much any watch, but it took a while to get used to this on my wrist, but once I got used to it, I ended up really enjoying this thing. I like the analog readout, I love the functionality, I love the durability, it's lightweight, it's thin for a G-Shock. Those are all things that I really enjoy. So if you're somebody who prefers an analog watch, but you don't want to give up the durability or the functionality of a G-Shock, I think that's who's really going to be drawn towards these things because that's exactly what it gives you. Now, if you're looking at the full metal versions, the Royal Oak clones, I don't know about those. I have not tried them. I'm really not interested in trying them. But as a resin G-Shock with an analog readout, for this price, it's fun, it's functional, it does the job. There you go. I've got nothing else. That was my wearing experience with the GA2110 and the GA2100. I would love to know what you think of these, if you own them, if you have worn them. Did I miss any pros? Did I miss any cons? What is your favorite version? What issues have you run into? Let me know in the comments down below. It's great to be back. I shouldn't be clapping into a microphone. I just had a lot going on. My main channel got very busy. Craziness, so I can finally get back to wearing watches and sharing my experiences with them, which is what this channel is. I am not a journalist. I'm just sharing my experiences. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Watching, get it? You get it. I'll talk to you on a later date. Yeah, you should just unsubscribe from me for that. I'll talk to you later. Bye.